Hi everyone, this is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe, and I am here live to take your immigration questions. So if you have an immigration question, go ahead and put your questions in the comments right now so I can answer your questions. I am here every day to answer questions, and so now is your opportunity to ask a real life U.S. immigration attorney to answer some immigration related questions. So I am going to formally introduce myself to those of you who don't know me. I am U.S. immigration attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I help clients to get their green cards and status in the United States. And so if you're going through the process, thinking about going through the process, or you've even been through the process, I know that you probably have an immigration related question, and so I am here to take on your question. Hi there, Shamakia. It's nice to see you. Thanks for saying hello. Go ahead, put your questions in the comments. That is why I'm here. So I'm here every day to answer questions, and I usually close out the night with you all. So go ahead and follow me if you're not following me, so that you can when you see me, you can ask your questions. So fiance is in the Philippines. Let's see, fiance is in the Philippines. Is it easier for K1 visa or to marry there? So that is usually down to what are your needs and personal preferences. The K1 is taking almost as long as the marriage visa. So in some cases, it may be easier just to get married and then to complete the process. So, it all depends. How long does NVC process take to give an interview at Kingston Embassy? So right now, because of COVID and the backlog, it's taking a couple of months. As for the specific number of months, it would be hard to give you a timeline without knowing what type of application you're filing, where are you in the process, and so forth. Can I still work on my C1D while I wait for my green card? I have a B2. So I see Charlie, schedule a consultation because I don't know if you're inside of the United States or outside, but if you have a C1 as in the crew member visa, and you have to still travel through the United States, as long as you have proper justification and you comply with your visa, you don't overstay that crew member visa. Because keep in mind, if you overstay that C1D visa, it could spell a lot of trouble for your green card in the future. So as long as you are compliant with your visa, you're not using it to come and stay in the United States, and you can show that you still work, and you still do need to work. So while I can only make assumptions and give you general information, to get personal legal advice about how to approach your situation, schedule a consultation. But generally speaking, one should still be able to, work and use the C1D for those purposes. Who is eligible for the DREAM Act? So it's going to be individuals who are on 18 and under, who came into the country without status. And then there are other requirements as well to show that you've been going to school, you've graduated school, or you are in college, or you joined the military. My husband has an individual hearing for immigration court. What does that mean? That is definitely a big deal. An individual hearing is basically, that means that he is in removal proceedings. And that individual hearing is going to determine whether he is going to get the relief that he's seeking, if he is requesting relief, or whether he will be removed or granted voluntary departure. If your husband is not being represented by an attorney, you should definitely consult with an attorney to get an attorney there, because they're similar to trials, and it's like a final trial to determine whether he should be removed or he should be granted relief. So if you are not represented by an attorney, if your husband is not represented by an attorney, get him an attorney. If not, and if he does have an attorney, make sure you touch base to make sure that you fully understand what this is. So there is nothing going on with Bose. I'm not sure what that is. If my 2-year green card expired, can I apply it without spouse? If so, do I need to pay any fine? So user 5444, there are ways to apply for the green card without your spouse. However, keep in mind that you must apply for a waiver of the requirement to file with your spouse. And what that means is that you are going to apply based on divorce, showing a divorce decree, or that you have filed for divorce, based on mistreatment or extreme cruelty or your extreme hardship. Now, I want to let you know that this is not just a fill in the form, blank form type of document. You will have to put together sufficient evidence. So user 544, can't stress enough, get legal advice as to how to approach this and to get legal representation, because and make sure that you file this timely. You usually, while you can file for waivers, these type of waivers, at any point before or after your card expires. It's best to do it before your card expires, because you can get an 18-month extension on your permanent residence while you are submitting your application. Very important to file before. Everything approved, just waiting for an interview, Kingston Embassy, from October 2020. So Jerome, yep, unfortunately things are taking a while. IML, if you're being filed and you overstay in the US, what implication can result when the filing goes through? So now if you overstayed, your relative is a US, you are the immediate relative of a US citizen. That means you're the spouse of a US citizen, you're the parent of a US citizen who is 21 and up, or you are the son or daughter under 21 of a US citizen, and you don't have any other disqualifying issues going on in your background. There is a way to adjust status while you're in the United States. However, if you don't fall into those categories, then you have to go through a waiver process. That waiver is going to allow you to leave the country to finish the green card process without facing the 3-year bar or the 10-year bar for overstaying. And what that means is that once you leave the country, if you don't get a waiver, you leave the country to attend this interview, you're going to be inadmissible. You're going to be denied at the embassy unless you get a waiver approved. To get this type of waiver, you will need to have a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident spouse or parent who will experience extreme hardships without you. So keep that in mind. Schedule a consultation to and talk about it more, because it's super important at this point to get it right. So hang tight, everyone, while I get to your questions. So he was married before me and they marked it fraud. Okay, so get legal advice. This is more a complex issue, and you want to make sure that he does apply for the immigration relief or forgiveness from the immigration judge. So Shamakia, can't stress enough, get legal advice, do it now, especially if he has an individual hearing coming up. Important to do it, to have a plan, have strategy, have a defense in place. Can an aunt apply for her niece if she lived in the US for 4 years? Unfortunately not. So aunts can't apply for their nieces directly. Now, an aunt, for example, a US citizen sibling who's 21 and up can apply for their sibling. And what happens is that immigrant sibling can bring their children who are under 21 and under and unmarried, as well as their spouse along with them. But that's an indirect sponsorship and not directly. It's not a direct filing by an aunt for a niece. Shamakia, you're welcome. I look forward to speaking with you. It's so important to follow up on that. Now, if you would like to schedule a consultation, go to the link in my bio and you will be able to call the number. My phone lines run 24/7. They're after hours receptionists right now. So what they'll do is they'll take your name, your information, And then the scheduling coordinator will get back to you on the next business day, which will be tomorrow. So can I divorce my husband and file for fiance visa? So Violet, it depends on what the situation is. I don't want to tell you that that's okay unless I know the full situation. Hi, I need help. So now 175, if you need help, schedule a consultation and then we can talk. But the consultation doesn't mean that you would actually be able to get through. So Shannon Spring, the start of everything is a consultation. The consultation is where I give you legal advice about whether you qualify, and that will help me to determine whether I can qualify for you. The value of the consultation is to get legal advice, to walk out knowing what you qualify for, whether you're on the right path, whether you need legal representation, whether you are about to make a mistake. It can actually help you to prevent you from making mistakes in the process. So the consultation is very important. It also allows me to really evaluate your situation and then determine the strategy to achieve which has value, and it takes time. So it helps me to determine what strategy to approach and then to move forward from there, to accept the case or to let you know whether there is a case in the first place. So keep your questions coming. I am here to answer your immigration questions. So go ahead and put those questions in the comments. So can I get my visa? It was canceled in 2020. So Nareen, it depends on why it was canceled. So sometimes it's canceled because of maybe an officer saw that there was a pattern that they didn't like. If you're maybe traveling too often, or they felt like you overstayed by a week or something like that. In that case, there may not be permanent repercussions from this and permanent consequences or long-term consequences. However, it may be canceled because of a severe immigration violation like misrepresentation or fraud, or because of a criminal issue that came up in your background. And in those cases, it can get more complicated. Can you apply for a fiance visa without meeting your fiance? Great question. In most cases, no. You will need to meet them in person. You need to show that you have met them in person in the most recent 2 years. If there is a custom, a family custom or a cultural custom or a religious custom that prohibits you from meeting your fiance in person, then you would have to apply for a waiver of that requirement. Or if there are exceptional circumstances that could prevent you from seeing them, for example, in some countries there's warfare, there's conflict, you might be in personal danger if you try to see your fiance in person, and that would have to be stated in the application. So no, they find out I was going to work. So no, they found out that I was going to work. So in a case like that, that can definitely be a severe has severe consequences, and I would definitely want to speak with you in detail to determine what those consequences could be. It just depends on, now usually what the officers will do is they'll write out the statute in the passport and state the reason for the cancellation. That could be one step to figure out what the consequences are going to be. Do you have to have a certain amount of money to sponsor your fiance? So you'll definitely have to complete an affidavit of support to show that you meet certain income requirements. You mentioned persons from Trinidad with E2, but you have an investment, but if you don't have. So Shannon, E2, the E2 visa is for individuals who have invested or currently investing in a business in the US to expand their business or to start a business in the United States, where there is no specific requirement for an amount of investment, but for the type of business, you must show that you are investing or you have invested some substantial amount of capital for the type of business you have. For example, if your business takes $100,000 to get up and running and to successfully run it in the United States, then what that's going to mean is that you should be prepared to show that you've invested 100,000, or you're currently in the process of investing 100,000. So, and they give me years to apply back for one. So usually if you are just turned around at the border, Nareen, you'd have 5 years. However, it just depends on what else you were tagged with. If there was some misrepresentation involved, then it could be a permanent bar. However, in the case where they just turned you around at the border without any other immigration charges, then that would be a 5-year automatic bar. Hi there. Can you fast forward your sponsorship? I'm not sure what you mean by that. 21, Judy, can you explain, please, so I can understand that question? Can you apply for a fiance if he has a child? Absolutely. So there is also the K2 visa for the children. Would someone be able to work if they go to the US for 6 months? So if they're coming in on the visitor's visa, they're not allowed to work. You must have a visa that authorizes you to work in the United States to be able to work. If you are working on a B2 visa, then you are definitely risking getting that canceled or worse. If you on a work permit, can you apply for permanent residence? So a work permit alone isn't going to qualify you for permanent residence. You must qualify through an employer, through a family member, or through some sort of humanitarian means, like if you have a T, a U, or a T, a U visa, or if you're a refugee or asylum, you've been granted asylum. If you entered in the USA in a different name, well, that can definitely have severe consequences. 1SJ, schedule a consultation, and then we'll talk more about that. But that could equal misrepresentation or fraud, and it's likely to end in that. And so you definitely want to see if there's a waiver available for you during the green card process. Okay, so let's see. All right, so keep those questions coming. So Nareen said yes, so it's 5 years. So in the case that if the 5 years are up, then at that point, and you're not inadmissible in any other way, then you would be able to apply again. But keep in mind that they don't look very kindly at past immigration violations, and so you definitely want to prepare a good application years from now. How can I apply for permanent resident without sponsor? So it depends on what you qualify for. There are employment-based green cards where you can apply on your own, but it depends on what is for individuals with extraordinary ability. That means that they're at the top of their field. They're well known in their country. They've received awards, or they have, they've been selected by certain selective organizations because of who they are and so forth. So that is one potential way. And then another is if you're being mistreated by a qualifying relative like a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident spouse, parent, or citizen son or daughter 21 and up, and they are not applying for your green card, that could be another way. Can someone apply for work visa on their own, or they must find someone in the U.S. at first? So most times, Shannon, it's going to be you need an employer. Under certain, and that's why it's called the extraordinary ability green card, because under certain situations where an individual, they have achieved a lot in their career, they can show that they're at the top of their field, there is a way to get what's called the extraordinary ability green card. But otherwise, most cases, you're going to need an employer. My father is married to a USA citizen but lives in Trinidad. So in this case, if your father is married to a U.S. citizen, the U.S. citizen would have to sponsor them. How many times do you have to show that you visited your fiance to start an application? So there is no limit, as long as you have shown that you have met with them at least once in the most recent 2 years, and you can show evidence that you have a real relationship. then you would qualify. One in my passport would expire 2025. So now keep in mind, Nareen, even though the visa says 2025, it's no longer valid. Once it's been canceled, you can't use it again. You'd have to apply for a brand new visa. Hi, how long after biometrics will you get a work permit? It's going to be a few months. So you're looking at about 4 to 6 months after the biometrics. So keep your questions coming while I'm here. Why not take advantage of a U.S. immigration attorney being here to answer your immigration questions? I'm here every day, by the way, so if you don't ask your question today, you'll have plenty of opportunities to do so. What are the evidence you have to show as proof that your relationship is legit? So, reservations, pictures, exchange gifts, phone records showing your communication, things of that nature. Affidavits from friends and family attesting to the fact that they know about your relationship, and so forth. So keep those questions coming. So if you're not following me, go ahead and follow me so that you can see when I go live and you can hop on and ask your immigration question. I am here every day with very few exceptions. So if you have an immigration related question, you can go ahead and put it in the comments or put it in the Q&A feature, and I will go ahead and answer your question. So I lived in the US before as a minor and I would like to migrate. Now, what would you advise? Shannon, it depends on how you qualify. So there are so many ways. If you've lived here before, do you have family ties? Would you qualify that way? Do you have employment prospects? It really depends. If you're really serious about wanting to come to the United States and live again, go ahead and schedule a consultation and then we can talk about your particular circumstances. So after 5 years, can I apply again? So after the 5 years, yes, you'd be able to apply again as long as that is the only thing that has rendered you inadmissible right now. So thank you everyone for participating and asking such good questions. I'm here every day, so this is not the last of me. If you are not following me, go ahead and follow me so that you can see when I go live and you can hop on and ask your questions again. So how long does it take to get approved for a fiance visa? So it is taking over a year to get the fiance visa approved. So if you would like to get in touch with me, schedule a consultation, go to the link in my bio or call 561-405-4889. You will be able to speak to a scheduling coordinator who will put you on my calendar. Now you can call now and you'll get an after hours receptionist who will still take good care of you, take your name, your information, and then on the next business day, which will be tomorrow, the scheduling coordinator will get you on my schedule. So have a good night, everyone. I'll see you again tomorrow.